Well, hello, everybody. It looks like this is a technical Tuesday. I don't know, it seems like they're doing weird stuff, and but hey, it's all right. We just want to say thank you for tuning in. If you're here, well, you have fulfilled your destiny. The title of our show today is What Will Be Your Life Story? So we're going to have fun with this. And as things are like really just getting slow, Trina, it's amazing. Everything on this end. My end says fine, but it says that there is another end that is slower than this end. So I'm so confused.
It's
Anyway,
fine.
yeah. And we're going to be talking about a lot. Jenny will be here. I'm sure she's probably having some challenges. I'm not speaking out what I'm not calling anything into existence, but it's already here. But we just want to say thank you. We want to say favor. We speak favor upon you, and we always back that up with nothing missing, nothing broken. Best way to be.
Yeah.
So, hello, everybody in the chat room. We love you all. So many good people. There's Jenny. So,
Hmm.
Trina, as Jenny gets wired in, how are you doing, my dear?
I'm doing fabulous. Using yours, if I was any better, it'd be illegal, be a crime.
My imagination can really run with that, but I love that. So everything good in your world and how's the energy? Is it good, bad, up, down?
Ooh.
Yeah, like a roller coaster. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And the energy has been off the charts. The sun's exploding. The governments are, everything's like boom, boom, boom. Everything's going crazy right now, Wayne. You're right. It's so big.
It is big.
How big the scope of the problems that we're facing are. They're big
They're big. When you said the
everywhere.
boom, 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 I'm thinking Johnny Lee Hooker. A boom, boom, boom. But Blues Brothers, yeah. And then Jenny, we see you down there. We want to say that, we can hear you and you know, but yeah.
Came
So
in on the imagination part, and my imagination went from there. I'm just sorting out this camera.
well, I see this is a good exercise in visualization. So I'm sitting there visualizing you and yeah.
What
Why
sign?
do I see a
What shape?
Pegasus?
That's so funny. Oh,
Just close
so
my
what?
eyes, and that's the first thing that came to me was this Pegasus.
Oh,
I'm like a wild horse with
Yeah, and it's got wings.
with
Yeah, like
wings.
that, just like that. Isn't that odd?
one of my favorites.
Close my
So
eyes, and there she was. Like
there I am. So
there you
today,
are.
here we are.
Hi.
Theo had an asthma attack last night that was
Mm.
beyond ridiculous. His SATs went down to 78, um, and then we got them up to 81. So it was a blue light scenario. He's fine now. We've just been to the doctors there to get him checked out, next day kind of thing. He's got no infection or anything like that. It started because he had an anxiety attack regarding school, and he was relating it to dying, to death. He started clutching at his chest, and it just sparked a huge asthma attack. So he's okay now. But I've been standing in agreement with you guys all day today, and it's worked because we've just gotten the all clear from the doctor to say that he's stable again. He's got to
Mm.
rest and do his. But this boy, he's such a, because there he is in his panic. Even he was doing his breath work that I've taught him from day one, and his box breath and his dragon breath, to get that tension out. And I mean, oh, to be able to have that self-control at that age is just epic. But what a boy.
Profound.
Profound it is. So
Good
he's
mama. Good mama.
I'm homeschooling him, Trina. I'm going to the school tomorrow. I'm handing in the deregistration form. Our schools are going, and the children are being affected greatly in this country. And Theo's
Yeah,
too, he's too
I had
switched
to
on
take
to it.
mine out. I had to
Yeah,
take mine out her last 2 years. She couldn't do it anymore. She begged
yeah,
for 2 years, and I
yeah.
finally did it. Yeah,
That's it.
best
I've done it
decision ever.
since I got assaulted. It's been 2 years. It's for 2 years this boy's been given everything. He's been putting everything in on his end, commitment wise, and it's actually been solidifying the anxiety that was initially caused by the assault. They've done nothing to aid this boy. I've given them the chance and the privilege to teach him. There he is talking about quantum fields. He reads beyond high school level.
Mhm.
Stuff them. I'm going to Japanese school the life out of him. He's
Yep.
he, he's he's too intuitive to be in that space. There's huge toxicity rising in the schools, so gonna do it. He's done. I'm just gonna hand in the
I think it's wonderful.
deregistration tomorrow.
I
Gave
think
them a
it's
chance.
wonderful.
Yeah, they've got no privilege with my boy anymore. They don't deserve him.
Yeah.
So that's
Well,
where I'm at.
my
And
child
he's relaxed.
never screamed, but when she got, I mean, and this was several years ago when things started really changing and the bullying and the
Mm,
division and all the stuff started, she was like, I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there. And I was like, and she goes, just let me do homeschooling. Let me know. I was like, no, no,
yeah.
no. And, I was a single mom trying to
Mhm.
work. I mean, I'm like, I need to be, she's like, I can do this. And boy, did she. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
She graduated high school a year early.
Yeah, you see, and there's Will. He needed that time of homeschooling when he was going through puberty and it affected his spectrum. That
Yeah.
boy's going out every morning, 7:30, dressed like a smart businessman, and he's rocking every one of his mock exams. So,
Yeah.
we know our own children. I knew when it was time that Will needed that structure. Theo's a
Yeah.
different being. He's
Yep.
more free like me. He's more climb up a tree like me. So we're going to climb trees.
Yay.
I'm done. I'm done. I've got to be done. Otherwise, I'm going to start bouncing teachers' heads, literally on the yard. I'm so cross now. So I can't get to that stage. So I'm done. I'm going to be wise.
Just
Retreat.
breathe deep,
Breathe deep and
slow
say, there's your
down.
deregistration letter. You're
Just see
welcome.
all that negative energy flowing through your feet and out into the ground. There you go.
Mhm.
But true, it's the education system is a mess,
It's messed up
Uh,
right now.
Children
The
should.
thing that you think about school is that, it's where we learn our social norms and how you interact. But,
Your friends.
you know, they wouldn't let me in school because I was homeless and, didn't have an address. I missed all that.
Your name's not down. You're not coming in.
And, it's like, that was cool. I started to be an entrepreneur at 15. So, I'm glad to hear that William is thriving and Theo will do fine. I mean, you know,
Yeah, Will
He'll
loves
thrive.
the he
yeah,
loves the routine. He's actually hated it up until the exam period. Now, once they gave him this structure, this timetable, that's his thing, to have a time for everything that is concise. That's Will. He's good with that. So he's thriving with that now.
Mhm.
And Theo just needs to blossom again because he's been retreating and retreating and retreating. And then when he's off on holiday, he comes back out again. But how much of that person do you keep if you keep whipping? Uh, schools, if I ran a school, if I had the money to just open one up now, there is people would actually be fighting to take their kids home because, like a park, they wouldn't want to leave. I would make sure it would be so easy to give the carrot to the kids,
You're just
so
you're just in the future. I think this is coming,
easy.
and you'll be one of the ones who help bring it in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Thank you, Trina. I see Wayne said that before as well. Wayne has said that before about me. So, and I don't much like other people's kids, unless I love the people who've given birth to them. But I'm good with them for some reason. All of the kids in the street flock to me. But I like them and I would
little
stand in front of a
rugrat,
lion.
get the
Them.
hell
But
out of here.
yeah, they're not my thing. But I'm good with them for some reason.
I
They
love it.
like me.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, I tell you, again, we don't know what they're planning for all of us, but in the interim, we can still write our own script. And I like what you're doing, Jenny. And um, I know many parents that have homeschooled, and their kids have, most of the kids have come out ahead of their classmates. And
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
quite interesting. I can remember back in the day that I don't know if they still do it in schools, but I think it was with seniors that they could work a half a day, go to school a half a day, and then work a half a day.
Hmm.
I
And
just realized the time and we're live. I didn't know we were live.
yeah, we are live.
Hi, everyone.
You just told the whole world, but it's all
About
right.
some teachers' heads.
Everyone's pulling for you, and that's cool. I mean, I think that's delightful.
I do
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
I had to do it, and it was the best decision for my child. So it,
Yeah.
it wasn't working for me, but I had to listen to what she was demanding, and she didn't, it was 2 years. She didn't give up. So I was like, "You're really serious about this?" And she's like, "Mm-hmm. I think it's a good
At
game."
least the kids that are homeschooled can read and write. In the public schools in the United States, that's why they should do away with the National Teachers Union. That needs to be disbanded, and there needs to be, in fact, the whole school system needs to be torn down and rebuilt because it's
Yeah,
broken.
Well, it does.
it's so
It's
broken.
a conglomerate of slave makers, basically. These children going. Theo was reading beyond primary school age when he went there. That was at
Mhm.
5 years old.
Mine
Now
too.
he doesn't want
Mhm.
to pick up a book. They've sickened him with it. He doesn't, so you never had to ask him to pick up a book. He asked for a book, so yeah,
And
I'm
that's not
being
what American students, in fact, this I recently read that you'd be surprised that most students say they never have read a complete book through the 4 years of high school. So we're
yeah,
graduating kids who can't read, they can't write, they don't teach cursive writing anymore. They don't
no.
teach them basic math. So they're literally throwing them out. And then you have the colleges, which are running the biggest Ponzi schemes ever. Listen, half of the kids that are in college shouldn't be there to begin with. They should be in trade schools. They should be in other venues, but not college. A 4 year degree is nothing more than expensive toilet paper that's going to give your ass a rash. So you
Mm.
think about that. If your diploma gives your ass a rash, maybe it's not the right thing to do in life.
And it gives you bank account, an eating
Call it like
disorder.
it is, Steiger.
It eats
True.
away at
It's
your bank account.
Like my ass is red. Why? Well, it's because you got a college degree. I mean, look
Yep.
at Harvard. You look at these schools. I mean, they're basically cults. I
It's
mean,
gotten
you
really
you think
bad.
about the Skull and Bones, Harvard. You've got the other ones that with Columbia and all these others. They got these cults that, hey, if you want to call them satanic, probably fit the demeanor, but they invoke entities. And then they go through life and then they begin to assume power in the private sector. And then lo and behold, they come into the public sector and then they begin to make policy changes that mirror their ideologies. In the meantime, us taxpayers are picking up the bill for these idiots, these so called intellectuals. Yeah, don't see,
And when
Jenny, get me started on this, and we can go way down. There's Mr. Theo.
don't talk to me about that, he says. Come on, baby.
Mhm.
Talk to me about that.
You know,
Kundalini
This
Kings,
is
I have a seventh grade education and a mechanical engineering degree in the trade school. I make more money. There you go. That's
You
my
know
point.
what?
it's
Both of my girls didn't do college. I mean, one got a nursing degree, so she did do college, but not like a doctor like my other niece. They're all doing very well. And my other daughter, when it was her turn to go into college, she was looking at the options and she chose not to. And she created her own company and she's doing really well. And it was the same thing. It was like, Mom, I'm not taking on the debt because now the jobs aren't the
Yeah,
same.
yeah.
Is she just like, I was like, I think that's the best decision. So,
why.
each one's different. They're all finding their own flow. And depending on what they do, some of them require a degree. So it's so varied.
More corporations are now taking the degree requirement out. And,
Yeah, and
and
and they're and the trade schools are
yeah.
going nuts right now. People are wanting to learn skills again. So I'm
Well,
seeing
I'm
the
an
shift
advocate
already
here in
starting.
Missouri to get the trade schools back because when I was
Yeah.
20 years old, I held a journeyman's card in the painters
Yeah.
union. I was a drywall finisher. And do you know what my scale was in 1975? I was making 12.50 an hour.
Wow.
Now, to give you in comparison, my wife, who got a degree in nursing, she was making less than $4 an hour. Now, this is back in
Wow.
1975. So, you know, and
Oh,
today, if you're a pipe fitter, you are making about $102 an hour. If you're an iron worker, your scale is about 85.90 an hour.
wow.
Okay.
So I'm just saying that you can make
That's
a
amazing.
whole lot more money working with your hands than you can
And,
do sitting on your ass
and
just
you know
working in the
something
office.
that I'm seeing is a lost trade. That's another big money maker. Our machinists.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
My
My
goodness.
brother is a master machinist,
Oh yeah. Mhm.
43
Wow.
years, and he's a
Oh,
metallurgist. He can tell you anything about metal. His skills, he works in microns. I mean, and he took up the trade. Our grandfather was a machinist. And before him, um, my grandfather was working primarily in Mare Island for the war effort
yeah.
back in World War II. So,
That's
Fiddling
amazing.
Kings Local 110 Labor, St. Louis. There we go. Are y'all still part of the Teamsters? You know,
Mm.
uh, going
What's the
back in the day
future?
because and here's I loved it because those those years of doing all that drywall taping and finishing was training my mind. Once
Hmm.
I perfected the technique, it's an art, and
Hmm.
And
I'm an
that's
artist.
probably
I
good
am.
while you meditate. It's probably good while you can meditate while doing other things because
Exactly,
you.
sweetie. That's exactly it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
Yeah.
I got so good a good reputation with the contractors that when other guys were getting laid off, I had a job. And
Yep.
then I worked strictly commercial. So yeah,
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's like my
And
job.
then
I
I
get
took
to
a
do.
walk on the wild side,
Yeah.
and I never
I
came back.
I love to
Right.
meditate while I work. It's one of my
It's
favorite things to
yeah,
do.
it's deep. It really is. You know,
Hmm.
maybe yeah. I don't know what everyone else thinks, but it's true.
I think I do better in getting into higher consciousness when I'm awake and alert. I've always done that better that way. So it's very strange, but yeah, the stiller I get, the more I relax, and I just want to
It
take a nap.
is. And
But if
boy,
I'm moving, I can just
Yeah.
go.
there you go.
Driving in the
Movement is
car
my
too.
thing. Yeah. Yeah.
I learned a technique. I got to do this when I was a CEO. I learned the technique of taking power naps. I can
Hmm.
take a 15-minute power nap and
Feel
feel
good.
as much as 6 hours sleep. Let's go. And
Yeah,
boy, did I sleep good last night.
Did you?
Yeah,
I do too.
yeah. I had Mr.
I was
Bentley right
tired.
by me, and he was like, "Yeah, yeah."
Mm.
So tune in tomorrow, folks, because I'm going to be doing so. It's kind of not what we're going to be talking about today, but it's interesting. So, did you see what Elon Musk had to say last night? I think he was interviewing Jesse Walters. Um, Elon is convinced that the Earth is eventually going to get burned up by the sun. And it's like he said, whether it's, down the road, but he said we have to have an insurance plan. And that's why as he said, we will be going to Mars. So they know something. I think it was Catherine Fitz who told Tucker Carlson and I like Tucker. I I'm still not quite sure, but for the most part. And so she has brought out what we've all suspected and have heard of these underground cities. They're massive. I didn't get an invite. Did you, Trina?
No,
Jenny, did you get an invite?
I guess you
No,
got to get a
I think
golden
they want to
ticket.
go
I
there.
don't got
To
one.
be honest,
So
yeah,
that
I
the
think
answer
they
is
want.
no. We didn't get no freaking
Yeah,
ticket, but
I
I don't
think
get
that's
no
the
golden ticket.
insurance plan. When everything's being revealed, they need an ejector seat. That's what they need. That's what this insurance
So
plan is
here's
all about.
my wife and I were talking about this, and I told her, I said, you know what? I said there was a time where I would have probably done whatever I could to see is there really a list? Apparently there is. I'm not on it. And I said, I've gotten to the point in my life now, and I don't have a death wish, but I don't want to live in their reality anymore.
Hell
And you're
no.
going to put people underground because of some natural catastrophe. I'm assuming it's natural. If it's man-made, shame on us even more. I don't want to live in that. I just
Mm-mm,
don't.
No,
mm-mm.
and to be honest, all I feel with nature is that these people are interferers. They come from lines of people who like the thought of, let's think of the name Eugene, and Eugene's a great uncle to them all, and they're into that. And so I think they're into that with nature as well. They play around with things that they don't fully understand because they feel that there's no consequences for them because they've got the money to get anywhere. I don't think for 1 minute they're going to make it there. I think they're damaging and causing a lot of the problems that we're seeing in the more extreme climate. I'm not talking about climate change. Climates change all the time cyclically. But they're messing around with stuff that they shouldn't mess around with.
Yeah, they
They're
are. They've
putting things
admitted that
into.
they're aerosoling the skies,
I heard it was
geoengineering.
called Satan.
Oh yeah, it's
You
like
named it Satan. I was like,
it's like,
what?
oh, there you go.
Are you
You know,
serious? Out of
you know,
spirit aerosol. I was like, what?
Yeah,
and it's like they're saying that things are going to get hotter, and but no one talks about they are very soon. I believe it's going to be hitting main line headlines. The word is going to get out, and when the straits, that's what I call them. That's everybody else but us. All right.
hmm,
It's like, sure, Steiger, you're not categorizing anyone there, are you? Hell no. But anyway,
they're
eventually,
wobbly.
but eventually, you're going to see the headline, Earth's magnetic poles are moving. And they know it already. And this is, yeah, because the minute that headline goes headline, all chaos breaks out. You'll see the financial markets melt down. You'll start seeing chaos because people, the one thing that we know about people, they will kill you in order for them to live.
Yeah, and it'll cover up all of this chaos will be very timely to cover up the huge financial heist that's going on right now and has
Yeah.
gone on for the
They've
last
been
six
fleecing our
years.
ass for how many
All, all of that will
thousands of
magically.
years?
Oh, that just went up with when there was a big fire. I'm sorry, we didn't. We converted it all into paper. The
Oops.
gold melted. I'm sorry. It'll all have just magically disappeared, and everybody else is in, like you say, survival mode while they're doing this. And religion has been wringed like a cloth to the point of it's getting to the point now where they're trying to revive the cult, but they're having to revive religious cults on the back of political cults, university cults, all sorts. They're having to attach it to other things to bring some validity to it. So it's just another story for them to control the masses, I feel, where we always have to have this event in our head where everything's going to end. If it does, it does. We won't even know anything about it. We'll be in spirit before we can blink. So, I don't think we should allow them to be catastrophizing the actually daily lives that we're living and putting all of that stress and burden on the shoulders of us, and more
But
importantly,
Jenny, there is though some reality here. The magnetic poles are moving, and
absolutely.
there's been no human alive that can actually say, well, what is the effect of that? We have a geological record that says it turns things upside down. So, and I'm convinced of it. Listen, you got Jeff Bezos. who just sold, nearly $4.7 billion of Amazon stock. He's got whatever the hell he's doing in West Texas. I mean, they're tunneling something out down there. But it seems like all of these cats, they're working feverishly. They seem to know that there is a time limit. Time's running out. I don't know. All I
Mhm.
know is that they haven't sent me the memo.
No, no, I'd
Mhm.
return it to sender anyway.
And you know what it reminds me of? When Ryder Lee was on, we were talking about the movie by George Lucas, THX 1138. That was
Mhm.
predicated on where humans went underground because something happened on the surface.
I think this has happened before. I
I think it
think they
has
Yeah,
do
too.
know. I think it's cyclical. And I do think it's part of the reason we have all the earth changes and it's being called, human problems when it really is a solar system problem. So I think
It
this
is a
is
solar
a lot,
system. Yeah.
yeah, this is a lot bigger, I think, than people are aware of. I think it's literally a cyclical time change. We have these photonic wave that's hitting us, all this stuff that's affecting the magnetic field. It all seems to me like it's cyclical. So, and
I
I
often
wonder
wonder
too.
if it's the other way around. Excuse me, that the the shifting of the magnetic forces on this planet, when they begin to weaken, which they are, I think we're down well over 50%. So it's letting a lot of cosmic radiation in. That
Mhm.
affects us. It affects our brains. That means it affects our decision making.
Mhm.
And as they move, it's just our Wayne Steiger's opinion, hypothesis, that weather is not so much controlled by the jet stream as it is magnetism.
I think
yeah.
so.
And so when you move a magnetic, something big as the Earth, and as it's weakening, I think it's going to drive us cuckoo.
Wayne, what if lower consciousness and lower vibration, like lower vibration, service to self. Maybe remember because of the bifurcation. I wonder if they're leaving because the vibration's not going to work anymore for
Hmm.
them to stay. So, and maybe if that's why they're trying to hide under the ground and they know they can't anymore. I
What
wonder if
if,
that's
too,
all
Trina, you
protected.
just triggered another thought in my head. So, what if the weakening magnetic shield, now that it
Mhm.
is weakened, what if it's allowing other entities, creatures that have been with this electromagnetic barrier in
What
the
if,
other dimension?
what if that's the veil, Wayne?
What if exactly? What if that
Mhm.
is that bridge?
That, yeah.
Yeah, that was just hitting me.
Yeah, I've contemplated the same. I've like, I wonder if the
Hmm.
magnetic shift is going to open things up and we're going to see things that we can't. I was wondering if that's why we started seeing all the orbs, because some of them
Hmm.
don't look like they're from here. And what if they've always been there, but we could just never see them before? And now we're
Well,
starting to see them.
you've hit on something there because I was telling Wayne last night about the island that these Elon has been experimenting to go through the firmament, also in Texas. So there's been that blue rain in Texas. So
Yeah.
the blue rain reported in Texas is actually full of copper, which has turned to copper sulfate when it's been oxidized. Now, the people on this island, I think it was Hawaii, and the people in Texas have reported all of a sudden being able to see entities that were terrifying and
Oh,
aged very quickly. Now, that in itself maybe has changed the compounds of the being that we are in order to see things. Like, they had to change infrared
oh,
to green light because people with infrared were able to see entities and it was terrifying soldiers.
Jenny,
And they said it was because it was leaking in, but I think it was just the red
Jenny.
light that we can see.
One guy scooped up the blue rainwater and drank it. He didn't know it was
Okay.
blue. He couldn't really, but he took one sip of this water. He was hiding under his bed for 6 hours, I think, hallucinating. He
Yeah,
said
yeah.
entities were everywhere. Whoa,
And
that's
there
an
was a
interesting.
fisherman, there was a fisherman that reported the same thing when the blue rain
Wow.
started. Obviously, he got covered and he had to go underneath in the hull of the boat and just hide and wait it out for about 48 hours. at sea to clear these visions that he was having. These he called them hallucinations, but
Yeah.
the copper sulfate is poisonous in that form to our body, so it changes the compounds. But I think it changed the visionary field, just like the red goggles that military used, and they had to
Yes.
change it to green because they were seeing too many entities.
Demons. Yeah.
Found terrifying. So
Hmm.
you hit
Wow.
on something there, Trina.
Wow. Yeah, it's
Kathleen
on my
Smith.
radar. I'm like, something's going on here. We got something going on here with people seeing things they're not supposed to. And remember, I had that dream with my dad. We were in the boat and I looked up because he was like, "What's that?" I could see all the dimensions. I could see
Yeah,
all the different dimensions. I was like, "Oh, we're not supposed to see that." I don't know why we can, but we're not supposed to. I'm like, something was breaking in the sky. Like
but
I could see all the dimensions.
same goes with what Wayne was saying and what you were saying about the rays that are coming through now that weren't previously. They're new frequencies that we haven't been exposed to or haven't been exposed to in that high of amount yet, opening up
Yeah.
a visual field that was closed. It's like shrimp. They supposedly see hundreds more colors than us because of the frequencies that they're seeing. We,
Yeah.
I think, are being affected in a certain way that we're expanding that frequency field. Now, people who haven't done grounding and inner work and aren't assured of self, they're going to have those hallucinations and freak the F out because there's
Mhm.
no sort of conversations like this in their itinerary to call back on and maybe conclude that they're going to be okay. This is a new thing, but they can survive it. So I think somebody said in the chat, people will go mad, and I think it's, those people who uh, everybody's going to be tested because they're new frequencies. But for people who haven't been exploring new frequencies by unlocking doors within self already, then just wait a
Wow.
bit.
And then there's the thought that, as I was writing down, so if they're using some sort of chemical in the rain, making it blue, I can remember in years past where, particularly in India and other places where the rain was red, and
Yeah.
it was a literal type of plasma that
Bacteria.
was, yeah. So here we
Yeah.
have the blue rain, and it's causing people to have apparently
Hallucinations.
hallucinations.
Yep.
Um, and then thought hit me because, when I was in my teen years, I was pretty stoned on acid, and Kathleen Smith always still comes to mind. I was talking to her, and she grew these ears, and then she had, what the juicy fruit gum, stripe gum, and she started having these white and green stripes appear on her. My point to all this, and I'm looking at her, and I'm right there right now, just looking, and she had this look like, "What are you looking at?" I don't know.
You don't want to know. Oh
So
my
what
God.
if, well, just what if? Because you see, the thing about when you have angels and demons, we think they're flying in from other dimensions. What if they're right here?
You know what else just came into my mind,
I've always
Wayne?
said that, yeah.
What's this?
All those people on the airplanes that were seeing things that,
Yeah, it's like she
that
said, that
weren't
ain't
right.
no fucking human back there.
What happens when they get up high in the air? Heavy radiation.
Oh,
I
yeah,
wonder if
yeah.
this has got a correlation with radiation.
Well, what if this is
That's
stripping
a
our,
Mm,
not stripping, yeah, maybe it's opening our peripheral vision now to
yeah.
being able to see this existing reality.
Yeah. So I'm like, what? It has something to do with radiation, has something to do with the sun and this plasma field that we're getting entered into, this photon belt thing. This is all changing, I think, what we see
So we were in Lowe's, and we saw this dude, man, having this conversation with
with
nothing.
nobody.
I
I've
mean,
seen
he
that a lot.
freaking, and I told Lynn, I said, look at this. And so we didn't want to stare, but we did.
Can't help it.
Come on. I
I would
mean,
have listened in. I would have
someone's
been
got to
like,
be honest,
okay,
you know?
who's saying what
And
here?
and the dude was like, I would probably say he was in his 40s.
Yeah.
I don't even, and it was so freaking weird. It went on
Mm.
for, a, well, we went to the other aisle and came back around and he was still having the conversation.
Yeah, yeah,
Wow.
Yeah. I mean,
yeah. And if
there's
you
this
think
weird
about
stuff
it,
happening to people.
like
Yeah.
Trina said with the plane, and Joyce has just said, yeah, Joyce in the chat, the oxygen intake is predominant because look at what I guide people with breath work, and Trina does. We actually get them to do the
Yeah.
to deprive the because they've built up
Mhm.
the oxygen in the body. Why? Because that opens up the DMT channel in the brain. It opens up the visualization in the brain. It helps you lift up outside of your body. So it makes you wonder about how many sort of rage-filled airplanes are quite renowned for having all of a sudden like these
People freaking
raging
out,
humans
violent.
freaking out at each other. Again, if they're feeling that lack of oxygen, but they don't know how to use that or calm themselves down in that, then it makes sense.
Well, there's a lot going on. I mean, so the
Mhm.
other day I'm writing, sitting right here at my desk, and I'm just writing away. And my wonderful wife comes into the office and she's talking to me for like 3 minutes. I didn't even see her. And she said, she looked at me and she said, "You didn't hear a word I said, didn't you?" And I said, "No." I said, "How long have you been here?" She said, "What's really weird is that where were you?"
Yeah, yeah. I was seeing you and you.
She says, "You weren't here, you know?" And I was like, okay. I mean, I don't know.
But it is like the loaf of bread that I've spoken about before with I feel with the dimensions and the beans that I do manage to see or block out, there's slices that can be taken out and spaces that have been there previously that I feel aren't there now. Those spaces, those veils are thinning. So one slice of bread can see the other slice of bread far more easily. And of course, when they're trying to get through the firmament with heavy metals, and who wants to block the sun? Has the person who wants to block the sun right now and has put in policies forward to do that ever really tried to glorify humanity? I think there's a way of trying to block these rays coming in because I don't think you could hold us down much more the more we get drenched in these frequencies and are able to discuss with these other beings like, do you have a government? And they say, what's a government? And we're like, what's a government? You don't know what a government, those kinds of conversations, they don't want them to be had interdimensionally because, then the whole structure of power
What
and
if
control.
what
Uh,
if the magnetic frequency was what was keeping us in these incarnation loops with the amnesia? I wonder if that's how we
mm,
got the amnesia was from that field.
Now
that
you're
would make
talking.
heavy
Now you're
metals.
getting it because you see, and I'll give credit to Ben Davidson. I mean, he's been on this thing, and who is it? Maverick Observatory. He's been tenacious in marking where magnetic north is. And it's speeded up and it's past the 40-degree parallel mark. That was his mark of no return. So it's heading somewhere, it's weakening, but you just bring up something that's very interesting. So when it was the strongest would have been when the supposed Jesus was here.
Ah,
So for 2,000 years, you had this strong magnetic field that encapsulated the earth and basically encapsulated our thought as well. We were
consciousness, yeah.
aligned to this, and I believe that this thought uses the electromagnetism in it's probably even more powerful than electricity. All
You
right, so
know,
Yeah.
follow. Go ahead, hon.
we just entered into the Aquarian age. I
Bingo.
wonder if this, because they kept showing me there's a new solar logos. It changes houses. So the projector, the sun, the energies that we receive were coming from solar logos. I wonder if this is the entrance of the new solar logos and it's going to change the way we
Well,
think, the way
Well, how
we
about
see.
this? How
well,
about
but
if it's actually escape time?
yeah,
Because when the
yeah.
Yeah,
shields are weakened, I think that they have a lot to do with holding a soul into this realm.
I think so too.
So
Somebody said last night that Aquarius was, I'm trying to find it, yeah, Felix, uh, meteor shower from Aquarius was at the height last night, shooting through Sagittarius, Trina. Oh no, that your Aries, that's the Will
Archer, though.
Sagittarius.
Yeah,
It
that's
was very cool. It was cool. I'm adding the very,
yeah,
but
so what if this is a time in which, we're just theorizing here, hypothecating,
yeah,
but you see, I can't help but not think that if you're a higher intelligence, you can't, I don't think that any being has the capacity to, I don't know, maybe that powerful, but I would use the natural auric field of the earth to my advantage in if I was trapping souls.
correct.
yeah,
And so if those barriers are now weakening and to
Yes.
the point where they no longer were, but have now begun this tilt, um, I,
Freedom.
yeah, that's what I
Yeah.
was thinking last night. I was writing and
Yeah,
I'll
I
just
am
I'll
on the
just
same
ask
thing with you.
yeah,
Yeah,
just
I'll just
thinking.
ask Theo to turn his TV down. Sorry, 1 second.
yeah, Wayne,
How is the
it's like,
chat room tonight? Is it doing well, for you? It's night, Jenny. For us, it's just noon. What time are you, Trina?
I will be, we started at 10 my time.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay.
10
You're
a.m.
so you're 2 hour 10
3.
a.m., huh? Huh?
I think, oh, 2 hours from you,
Yeah.
3 hours from
Yeah.
Brian, and
Yeah.
like 8 from Jenny.
Okay. Let's see these. It says the age of Aquarius is coming slow. I believe it started in the 60s.
Mhm,
Why they wrote the song about it.
mhm.
Yes. Marilyn McCoo.
I think these transitions take a long time because it's
They
recoding
do. Yeah, I
the
don't think it
matter. Yeah, it's
in the
recoding the
in the
matter. It's going to
cosmic scale of things, it would
Yeah,
be like this, but you're living it?
if
Yeah.
it takes us 9 months to create a baby, then what scale up is that for a solar birth, a
a
planetary
solar
birth,
birth.
a
I
sign
love
birth?
that
You know,
word. I love
solar.
that word, Jenny. That's
You
awesome. A
can think
solar birth. I love that.
birth.
Cool. Hey, Nina, what's up, girl? By definition,
Wow.
all souls are trapped within the totality. I think that sucks. It's like I
It
don't
does.
want to be trapped, man. It's like, let's
Give me a nail file. I'll start digging.
Right?
so so that gets me to this point. And I was thinking about this morning, and I thought, well, this would be an interesting question. So, Trina, what will be your story if you were able to write the book of Trina? And Jenny, I'm going to ask you the same thing because I want to know what the book of Jenny is. Um, or we can say Ren, however that is.
I'm
What would
Jenny for
you
you.
say that as a reader in the cosmic things, people want to know, what did you do when you were on Earth? And so you have this book. What would this book say? Because you're the author.
How I broke the spell of reality by remembering who I really was and how many others did it too. Like it was the breaking point was the remembering of what we are is what set us free. And I would be here to witness the freedom.
So your story would be what? In
The freedom of souls bound and trapped in consciousness.
but I want to know, who was Trina? Tell me
Oh,
who
that's
Trina
that's
is.
just that's the one who's here. But my soul, I would if I did know the name, I'd never speak it. So you know how that goes.
I think that's
But
why we don't remember it, it's because,
I think there is a bit of protection, and I think it's even a challenge for the vocal
oh,
cords to even make it. So
by
with
the
that,
way,
I
I'm glad you
good
gave me
protection.
something because I'm thinking about, y'all know Freighter, Nathan Syntax.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
because we've got the 72 names of God. And what people don't
Mhm.
understand, once you know God's name, you can use that name for your own benefit. So
Mhm.
I got this from Freighter on his So
Oh,
is it not
wow.
Mm.
just so freaking cool?
That is
Wow.
beautiful.
I
That's
That
mean,
is. Wow.
this thing
I'd
just,
have that tattooed on me in a heartbeat.
if I was ever to get a tattoo, this would be one. Isn't that not, we're going to get it framed. And
Wow.
is that just not fucking cool? Look
It's
at that.
It's
beautiful.
epic.
Look at the
It's
details.
absolutely.
So
Is that Enki and Enlil?
yeah, I think this is
Yes,
it.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah, Enki
yeah.
and Enlil.
Look at
Wow.
this.
Wow. That is magnificent, Wayne.
So go to
Magnificent.
Etsy, go over there and look at Nathan Frater Shintek. And
Nathan
is this just
Drake.
not cool? We're going to get this. And Frater's from Poland. Love you, brother. And I
Yeah.
just want to show other people real quick because I like to do this. It's like, with Nina. I know Nina's got new merchandise. Um, Here's another thing you can get on. I love this one. I'm going to get this frame too. So here's Lilith. Isn't she gorgeous?
Uh-huh.
So,
How, how do you spell his surname, Wayne?
uh, Frater,
Oh,
Frater, Nathan, and then I believe it's Shindek, SHE, and I think it's in. See, someone would know, someone here, and they help me out, guys. So
Mm,
I'll
I
get
don't
that.
know.
I'll put them out there. Here is,
Oh, Ginger Grin. She just put it up.
there we go. Thank you, darling.
Thank you,
Here's
Ginger.
another one. I love this one.
thanks, Ginger.
Wow.
Is that cool? So anyway,
It's beautiful, beautiful art, beautiful work.
yes.
And
So
it's with such high spiritual
it
presence and
is.
meaning. Yeah.
And then this is the one that is really, this is all from his website,
He does.
Eve or Lilith.
Yeah.
That's
So
amazing.
it, how'd you like the special sound effects on that?
Mm.
So anyway, Trina, I interrupted you, and sometimes the bus driver does that. Yeah,
You're allowed to.
yeah,
Gotta stop the
well,
bus, man.
it's like this is why you're on the bus. It's like, okay. So the story of Trina would be what? Who is Trina?
I think the only thing that separates me from everything that is the ability to encompass the soul. You know, the soul separates, it gives you the connection to realms, realities. So I'm soul and spirit, but it's too big. I can't process when I look at as I've seen my soul as a sun, and that sun is conscious, and it's it's a lot of consciousness, Wayne. So for me to even in human form comprehend the truth of what I might potentially be, I don't know. I
Well, as
just
a
know it's
writer, I may help you on this
big.
because see, this is how I would see your story is that I am Trina. I came into this world at such a time, and I enjoyed all of what Earth had to offer and also suffered what Earth had to offer. I became a mother, and that's how I would see the story. And that in as I evolved, I became to understand such. So
Yeah,
that's
that's
what,
kind of it, Wayne. I
yeah.
grew up, I had a blast, I got hurt, I've had pain, but at the end, I figured out that something wasn't right here. And I've been really exploring for my whole life. And I do the cutting myself free from the serpent, that vision. It was a game changer. It was a game changer. So if remembering who I was, I think was the whole reason I came here was to see if I could break through this illusion and through that, the consciousness would help others break through and see too. So I think more than all the other stuff, my purpose to come here was to remember, and it would help others remember too.
Cool. So, what would be the story of Jenny?
Wow. The title is Relentless. So
What's
with
that?
that
Right?
title, the
Make
title
a
is
change.
Relentless. So if we're talking about the saga of this body and the spirit that animated it, as you were talking there, Relentless is the title. in gold
Ooh.
calligraphy. So I've been relentless in finding keys and doors and actually challenging, like Trina says, the consciousness with the body, with the mind, to overcome what would seemingly be the impossible. Somehow I always find a key or a door that opens, that I relentlessly am able to break through in order to not just survive, but thrive. Um, it's a saga of no regrets, of no hate, of no pessimism in the way that I came in as damaged goods, and the way that I've used that as a pathway and a walkway to immediately have to be submitted to nature. And nature has submitted to me at times, and it's given me a beating at times. But I've loved every minute. My hands have touched the soil more times than I can tell you. My spirit now knows what cool soil feels like and what hot sand feels like. And my body now knows what it's like to eat the leaf just to see what it tasted like and write it in my book. My mind knows what it's like to connect to people, other beings that are sometimes very similar to me, sometimes completely different, and sometimes a 50-50. I am mother. Um, I am creator. I am protector and guardian. And the conclusion will be I'll be coming back for anybody that hurts mine, my loved ones, all of you included. So that'll be the caveat of the conclusion of like, don't mess. I've walked a crooked path, with a crooked back, and with every creak, with every crack, I've managed to unveil more of what's here. So that's my saga, and yeah, it would be relentless because I just don't give up.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that because we all have, I was looking at myself and I was thinking, well, so the unabridged Reader Digest version would be the story of my life would be much like yours would be resilient.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I was an
yeah,
overcomer. I came
Hmm.
into this realm putting before me challenges that would have broken other souls very quickly. Mine
Yes.
wasn't.
yeah.
And the other thing I would say is that I was a rebel coming in and I'll be a rebel going out.
I see your title as the forging. You know, like the forging of a sword, the forging of a diamond. I see your title as the forging. I see Trina's title as I'm trying to think of the word for it, but it's a foreign word for spectacular that means light. I'll have to look it up, Trina. I can see it in my mind's eye now, and I just can't think of the accurate translation now, but I know it's spectacular and means light. I'm sure it's an Iranian, but I'll have to double check. So those would be the titles if you were letting me co-author
Thank you
you
for that,
or
Jenny.
design the cover. Yeah,
You know
it,
who
it's a
told me
beautiful
that?
word.
You know
It's
who
a
told me
beautiful
that
word.
the first time ever?
Who?
Brian, when he crossed over, he said, "Your
Well,
light
maybe
is so
it's from
spectacular
there.
here."
Wow, because it's like a faded word, and I know that I know, but it's like a more ancient word than the English word for spectacular, and would be the meaning of light. And yours would be like the forging, and I would have like the hot metal on the cover dripping down the spine of the book, Wayne. And for yours, Trina, I'd have like a sunburst hologram that when you moved it shimmered because that's what you are, like an organza shimmer. So if you want a title, I'm just saying that they're
Well,
the
I think,
titles.
yeah. I mean, I look at the experience, and I think that's one of the cool things about getting older, excuse me, if you get it, is that you have an opportunity to look back more.
Mhm.
And, when you're in your 30s and your 40s, you're not looking back as much as you're trying to look ahead,
Yeah,
because, you know, we're immortal, we're going to live our lives. And then what we find out is that it goes by very quickly. And when you think about your life, as I look at mine, And through all the challenges, both positive, negative, and everything, the decisions that I made and how I made them, you know, I've been allowed to live long enough to begin to understand that there's nothing better than myself because I'm the only one that lived it. You've lived here. There's no one better than you, Trina, or you, Jenny, or any of the people I see in here. And I often wonder how the rest of y'all would write your book. How would you write your story?
I can think of loads of titles if you want to email me. I can look at these
Right.
names and I'm getting titles coming in.
Send them to me, sweetie. I'd love to see them because
I will.
I think that's important. It's odd because if this change is coming, that everybody keeps putting the fear porn out there. I mean, it is everywhere. That, and it's now into esotericism. That now you've got, those who you would think that would stay more on the, you know, a certain trajectory are saying, well, we got this coming in, we got this. And so if that's the case, how's it going to end for you?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't think
I'll
anybody
die
knows.
with a smile on my face. I know I'll die with a smile on my face because of the people I've loved, because of the people that have loved me, and the experience of actually animating this physical body, especially when you've got pain and you've got chronic things going on, you can get pinned down by that if you're not careful. But to sometimes remind yourself that if you've got neuropathy pain and you get numbness, when you get that rush of feeling back, it actually makes you really appreciative of being able to feel the cool soil in your fingertips. So the smallest things can be so, so big and so revealing to self and who you are. And it's a tapestry, isn't it? It's a tapestry that's made, like you say, from the colors you choose, the frequencies you choose to live in, whether it's good or bad times. It's a tapestry that we're weaving. And also, you know, there's a part in the book where, the you were when you who are you observed by, and what are their observations of you too? Because you can't ever have those observations of yourself, because like you said, Wayne, you're not in that other person. You're
I've
not
asked
looking
many
through their
times, do the
lens.
spirits trust you?
So they can add to the saga, which is important to the company you keep, of how they look upon you, and how they see you through that lens too. Not that changes your saga at all, but it adds to a story. It adds to the story in that you get more context of what you were to this space too.
True. Well, I'm going to be excited to see everybody else's stories. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I know part of my destination when I leave here is I am definitely going to find Wayne's World. I'm going to the beach. I
Well,
am.
I'm looking forward. I mean,
World party on.
it's like,
Yeah.
come to the beach.
Yeah.
So I was
I
looking.
always think, when I do leave, because you're going to want to get drawn into the projections. It seems like that's a common theme. I'm like, I want to find somewhere and regroup and gather myself more together. So if I don't know exactly where to go or what I'm doing, I will be projecting and working on that beach with Wayne and all my friends. Yeah, I will.
There's
Yeah.
people there already.
Oh, I know. It's what I mean.
Kind
I
of
know
envious.
because
It's like
I have a
they're
location. So I know I have a location for that. There's a couple places, many places I've been to over and over and over again. So I do have some type of location on those places. So
it's the
Content
billboard
loves
that's an electric
me.
color saying Wayne's Beach, Wayne's Beach.
Yeah,
right,
but it's a
right.
great, like upgrade. So like people who aren't invited can't get in. It's great,
Hell
because
no, we got a
the,
bouncer at the door. You know?
your
Yeah.
name's
Yeah.
down and you're not coming in.
Yeah.
You said that earlier. Can I quickly tell
Did
everybody
you
an
see them standing
experiment?
there with they're in their beach shorts and they got the hat on and the towel? What do you mean we can't come in?
I feel like
Frequency gauge says no enter.
I feel
Your
like the
pass has
temperature
been
gauge.
declined.
You're too hot, you.
Still reminds me of that bumper sticker I saw at the
Computer says
Tropicana.
no.
It says that Jesus loves you because everybody else thinks you're an asshole, you know? So,
Yeah,
And as I've
you will.
told people before, if you're an asshole here, probably going to be an asshole over there. I mean,
Oh,
It could be
if you
possible.
make a
Yeah.
bumper sticker but put in brackets, and he's not even real.
oh man. Oh,
The road rage.
did you see the guy who writes his own book? I was an asshole and enjoyed every minute of it.
Right?
It's funny. Can I tell
Mhm.
everybody an experiment I saw?
Everybody
So
thought I was a jerk, and they, it's like that's exactly what I wanted. I mean, it's I
yeah,
don't know.
no.
Oh,
So this experiment that I
oh,
saw people doing, if everybody's up for it, oh, thank you, Susie, my lovely. The is the egg thing that I did with Theo. And you know, while we're in all of this chaos that's trying to layer things on us that don't actually belong to us, it was a really great experiment, and I saw it being a really great visual for people to do with their kids or just us together. We put an egg in some white vinegar and submerged it in the white vinegar, just in a jar, in a mason jar, and left it. Theo found the experiment. And each day the egg got more and more fuzzy, and he wouldn't tell me what the end result was going to be. He was so excited. So in the end, all of the shell had disintegrated layer by layer off the egg and left the egg perfectly transparent but intact in the vinegar, suspended. And all of the shell was at the top, causing like a chalk that he said, look, you could use that for chalk now, Mum. And we could see right through the egg and inspect it. I just saw that as such a powerful ritual and such a simple ritual of literally taking an egg, dropping it in some vinegar, white vinegar, leaving it for a week. Now, during that week, it would be great if people just concentrated on that for 5 minutes, 10 minutes a day, whatever you can do to see the layers of the excess layers that are binding you or that are keeping you from being your full story. And each day seeing those layers and seeing them drift off to become literally calcium at the top of the jar, a nothingness that you can scrape off. You know, like the water experiment where you have the positive words, the negative words, or the rice. Very similar, but it's just such a great visual to see those shedding of the layers in such a gentle way that it keeps this perfect egg in absolute perfect formation. And I saw some people really rocking it, you know, pickle eggs. Yeah, just really rocking this experiment and seeing huge transformation through it with the neural pathways, you know, redoing those neural pathways that bind you.
It's amazing.
yeah.
It's like it feels to me like it's the energy shift from 3D to 5D. Your shell comes off and the translucent brand new egg emerges from the point of where you have to go through the process of letting everything
Yeah.
go and the body it shifts and it's a
Thanks,
different thing
Trina,
when
because
it's
that's
done.
exactly what happened with me and Theo when we were doing it. I was like, look, can
Yeah.
you picture all of the stress is just dissolving and you can stay intact and it was movable. You could see the things moving inside of it, you know, the yolk and in perfect tact, but it wasn't bound by this hard shell anymore. So I just see some people in the chat really rocking that as a visual tool to creating new neural pathways that aren't so binding.
Yeah.
28 days. That's what it takes
Yeah.
to make a neural path. All right, ladies, this has been fun. This has been
Mhm.
delightful. So, Trini, you want to
Thank
say
you.
anything as we slide on out?
Thank you
Love
everyone for
you
being
all.
here. Love you, Wayne. Love you, Jenny. Thank you for
Love you
being
too.
part of my consciousness and my world and my heart.
Mm,
Soul
mm.
Tribe, ditto.
Yeah, I'd have to say y'all be my soul connection.
hmm
Mhm.
So I said, Wayne,
Okay.
you're in my soul. When I look at the big vastness of myself, it starts to become an experience of conglomerate experiences of many and others. It's like we're all connected on such a high level. And I see my separateness, but I also see that I'm part of you and you're part of me as we're on this body experiencing this part of our existence together. So I think there's something powerful to that.
Mm. Boy, as you were saying that, I was thinking of Glenn Fry. Part of me,
Mhm.
part of you.
Yeah.
Thelma and Louise.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. And I think about this group, you know, I've known people in this group longer than I've known people out in the real world or,
Yeah.
that other world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we are indeed, I mean, and we'll find each other on the other side when we get over there. Hey, Bonnie, right back at you, darling.
Yeah.
Jenny, you want to tell anyone else as we're sliding out of this place?
It's a slip sliding so smoothly. Uh,
Mhm.
I
Slip
love
and
you all.
slide.
Slip and slide. I
It's
love you all.
98 degrees outside and that cold water and the slip and slide. Oh, yeah.
And I
Mhm.
love you enough. Let's think of something like full of wisdom. Don't drink the blue rain. You know, I
Right.
can give you that one for free. That's
Don't eat
about
the
all
yellow
I've got.
snow and stay
I've
away from the
got
blue
serious
rain.
okay. The warning for 2025, it's changed from
Maybe
the
it all
yellow
came
snow.
from the
Don't drink
same
the blue
place.
rain.
Oh, man.
Oh,
No, but I love you all. Thank you to everybody. I appreciate you all so
well,
much. And I love you.
I'll leave you
Thank
with
you.
one word of wisdom here, a little phrase. So always remember it's better to be pissed off than pissed on.
Yeah.
Love you all. So think about it.
Hat off the hat. Oh,
so we just speak love over you. We're not telling you that we hope you walk out pissed off, but we're just saying, just love you too.
Love
love you
you.
too. Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.